Good morning. We are so excited because there are actually people in the room with me besides Jessica, and that is beyond so much fun. I didn't, to be honest with you, this time last year, we didn't think we'd ever be meeting in person again, so here we are. And I'm really glad you guys can join us virtually yet. I will want your feedback because this is going to be a little bit different for us. We're learning as we go. So if something isn't working for you guys out there, you tell me. As opposed to when I do virtual where we look at the camera the whole time, I might not be doing that as much, just know that. Because again, there's librarians here with me, but we're glad you can join us. We are going to do everything. You should have gotten the email with the list of books. If you haven't gotten one, send me an email and I'll get them to you. No worries at all. Other than that, you know what, we're going to get started. We're going to, what we've done before in the past when they were here, we're going to just work through books just like that. And we're going to learn together. So thanks for joining us. And hello. Hello. So good to have you guys here. So, and I don't remember if I'm on camera. So if I step off camera, you know, sorry. So I'm trying. So our first list today is going to be our nonfiction books. So it's the short list. I think it says nonfiction on top of it. So, Christine Kane's How Did I Get Here? To be honest with you, anything by Christine Kane is amazing and worth reading. She doesn't pull any punches, but she's not rude about it either. This one is subtitled Finding Your Way Back to God When Everything is Pulling You Away. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that sometimes too. Well, I would do this, but I need to do this and this and this. Well, I would do this, but I need to do this and this and this. So a good reality reminder that as we get busier and busier again, that we do need to get back to God continuously. And then Jack Nicholas II and Don Yeager wrote a book about the best seat in the house, 18 golden lessons from a father to his son. So I grew up with a dad who very excitingly watched golf on TV. Now, if there could be anything more boring than real golf, it's golf on TV, at least to me. I know, don't yell at me, people, I know people that watch it, but so I'm very familiar with Jack's name. So this one is written for men. It is about father-son relationships and how to breach those gaps sometimes. I mean, Jack traveled a lot for golf, so how did he father and father well? So I think this is a neat thing for that. Father's Day has passed, we know. Christmas is coming. I don't know if you need to buy a gift for a father, but there you go. But such a good one and a good author. So, and then just, you know what, if you haven't read a Phil Yancey, those are good. This one is The Scandal of Forgiveness. It's the healing of our broken world starts with forgiveness. And that is the one thing that sets Christianity apart is we forgive those who have wronged us. And so he talks about that. And you know, you have a religion where the person we have based our religion on, God, Jesus, forgives others. Excuse me, we have somebody coming in the door. Get in? Sorry, no, look at your list. There you go. Thank you. And then Joyce Myers, I have decided that I should read this one. How to Age Without Getting Old. Steps you can take today to stay young for the rest of your life. Hey, maybe I should read this. But you know what, Joyce Myers is another one. I always like her writing because again, she can be very blunt, but she does it in a very kind way. She can tell you, you should do this because this is good for you. Not because, well, you should do this because I said so. So I always like her writing. She's very realistic. She's just, you know, she's very down to earth. I have never met her, but every time I see her, that's what I feel like. You could walk up to her and say hi, and she'd go, oh, hi, how are you? And start talking to you. So Joyce Meyer, she's been around for a long time. I keep trying to grab fiction books, if nobody's noticed. And then Angie Smith Woven, understand the Bible as one seamless story. I have to tell you, I grew up in a Christian home. I'm sure you guys have heard that from me before. But there was one book that changed how I read the Bible. And it was Wangeren's the story, where he takes the Bible story and tells it in a chronological, fictionalized story. It includes Bible verses. But because it put all of those stories on top of each other where they belong chronologically, it was like reading a whole different Bible the next time I read the Bible. And that's what Angie does with this one. She takes the Bible and says from beginning to end, the beginning, the end, as if an author had signed the end. Of course, we know it's not the end because we're here living it yet, but that's what she talks about here. Does the Bible feel confusing and complicated to you? Perhaps it should, some of it feels familiar and others does it feel impossible to navigate. Maybe you recognize the stories, but you just don't know how it all fits together. And I can remember learning how all the prophets work together and with which kings. It was like, this is amazing, because some of the prophets overlapped each other. I had no idea. I had been through the Christian school. Somewhere in there, I didn't pick that up, that they were all, you know, because I'm thinking Israel had this great history where he had prophet, and then a prophet, and then a prophet. And then you get a book like this that says, you know what, did you know that these prophets were at the same time? And it was with these kings? I thought that was really cool. So to have a book that does that is just, it's wonderful. I really, really appreciate it. So now we're going to get started with Jessica, and she's going to do our kids list.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to have you guys in person. I much prefer the in-person than the virtual stuff. I never like being on camera. All right, so I'm going to start off with our 9 to 12 fiction. This one is by Gary Schmidt called Just Like That. This actually came out in January when I had just taken over the children's department, so it missed my radar completely. So we just got this one in. This is a parallel story. One storyline is a girl just going into this boarding school after she loses her best friend. And then the other one is this kid who's on the run from a gang, and they end up meeting together. So it's really cool to see the parallels, and you know, Gary Schmidt does a great job weaving in dealing with the grief and the uncertainties of life, and just a very fun, entertaining story. Imagination Station just came out with number 27 in their series. This one takes place in Nazi Germany. So the kids go back into time during all of that, and they have to figure out how to escape this country without getting caught. But along the way, they meet a Jewish family, and now they're trying to get that family out too. So that's an added obstacle for them. Okay. So next up is our 0 to 2 board books. We have some really cute ones in right now. So we have the Easy for Me Bible verses. This one just takes cute illustrations of sea creatures and pairs them with simple Bible verses so that even the littlest of littles can start to learn the Bible. I really enjoy this next one here called Hush Little Baby. This takes off of the nursery rhyme Hush Little Baby, but it includes the gospel in it. It definitely has really cute illustrations and follows that rhyme. And again, I love the fact that it pairs God with it too. It's just a super cute one. This next one is really fun. It's How Big is God? This is a flip the flap book. So it compares different things. So like, is God bigger than the biggest word you know? Is he stronger than your favorite superhero? That kind of thing. Again, super cute. Flip the flap. The flaps are made out of cardboard, so they're not as easily torn like the paper ones. This next one is a paper book by Rachel Held Evans and Matthew Paul Turner. This is What is God Like? And these are questions that everybody asks, but especially kids, because they have no idea. And it just kind of compares, God is like a dancer. God is, as loving as your father. He's as big as the universe. These different things in there. And that is all I have for you guys.
Thank you, Jessica. And I really like kids' books. I'm like, oh, I need to buy that one. And oh, I need to buy that one. So between the fiction books and kids' books, I'm both. So we're going to start with the fiction books. We're going to start right at the top. And they should be in the list that you guys got in the emails again. So I have included, if you do have questions, you can pop them online, and Becky will let me know. Towards the end, we're going to do them all at once. It makes it a little easier. The first one is by Beth Wiseman. It is one of her Amish ones. She has been writing contemporary fiction and Amish back to back. This is part of the Amish in novels, and book number 1 was Picture of Love. I think that one came out about 9 months ago. I can double check if somebody wants to look at or needs the date for it. So Beth has been one of those consistent writers for almost as long as I can remember and worked for Baker. I don't know what else to say about some of these authors when they're like this, that they're just good. They're just good writers. I don't know how else to phrase it. So if you have your Amish readers, or you have somebody that likes maybe a gentler story, Beth is a good one that I recommend. And then there's Bethany Turner's new one, Plot Twist. I know Bethany and her sister. I don't know if any of you have watched any of the interviews. She is like one of my long lost sisters. We hit it off the first time we met, and the rest is history, as they say, and probably best that we don't live in the same state. So I want her to move to Grand Rapids. But this one, she writes romantic comedies, and comedy being the key word, because they are laugh out loud funny. There is heavy romance in it, but there is also issues in it. And I really, really appreciate that, because there's something in there that you need to think about it as you read it. So it's not just like, oh, I could read this fun little story. Oh, but what about this? And so I think that's what makes hers a little more rich in when we read them. So that's her new one. I will say Bethany's books are all standalones.
Can I ask what the issue is in this book?
This one is actually, instead of planning, like, I could do this eventually, live your life now. Because everybody says, when I do this, then I can start doing this. And her theme here is you're living now, what you're doing now. And I will also say the Christian content of it is very low, very clean. There's nothing wrong with the book. It's just low. So.
Thank you.
It's going to grab it off the wrong pile. That would have been very confusing to all of us. The Weight of Memory by Sean Smucker. This one is an interesting read. It's about a grandfather who is raising his granddaughter, and he has gotten a terminal diagnosis from his doctor. In fact, 3 months of the longest. And so he needs to find where he can bring his granddaughter to live. So he returns home to where he met his wife and all the memories that is generating. So Sean's books are a little bit different in that they do have like an allegory to them. So there's, there's different things to it. What I liked about this is how we all remember things differently. You and I can have the exact same experience and remember it almost completely opposite. And what you remember from it. And what you think was a memory could be something your brain came up with, and then it becomes a memory. And so it's just an interesting little read. So it's not a light read, but it's a good read. And it's just interesting to think through those things where you're like, oh, I wonder, as a child, I remember this. And then when you talk to your siblings, they're like, I don't remember that at all. So it's just fun to, delve into that. Connie Lynn Cassette, her second one in the Covenant House series, is out. Biblical fiction, Old Testament, and fantastic. If you are not reading her, you're missing it. She's got a couple different series out. I believe they're all listed in here. So you're welcome to obviously run through those to see if you have them. If you have people that like to read biblical fiction, I recommend Connie Lynn, sorry, excuse me. But if you have people that are just looking for really good reads, male or female, I recommend her, because just the story itself, even if you take the Old Testament part of it, her writing is amazing. So this one is actually on my, I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks pile, and I get to read this one. So I'm very excited. So we will get that read. But hers are ones I can't recommend them enough. So. And then Mary Connolly, her books are historical, romantic, and funny. Again, a laugh out loud romance, but it is historically based. This one is Brothers in Arms, book number 2. Book number 1 is, oops, it wasn't right in the front there, Braced for Love. That one came out kind of in the middle of the pandemic last year. So if you didn't get it, make sure you pick it up soon. But they, again, you always have the hunky cowboy and they meet somebody in distress. And so, and then shenanigans involved. Because I don't know what else to call it, because that's exactly what it feels like, because it's funny. It really is. They're just fun to read. They give you a nice warm feeling when you get done with them. Breach of Honor. This is Janice's book. This is the one we're going to be talking about next week, Thursday, in our virtual event. And I'll tell you what, I read it in a weekend. I know it's long, but I couldn't lay it down. It was that good because I had to know. She deals with abuse in a relationship. She deals with murder, corruption, the prison system, and a few other issues that I'm totally blanking on. And then there's really good mystery too. So it's perfect. So I really, really enjoy Janice's writing. It's been a couple years I did a little research and I think it's been 2 years since she's had a book out. I could be wrong. You're welcome to correct me. But if not, this has really been welcome back and I'm glad to have it. So she does have, I believe, 23 years of experience on the police force. And that comes through. You can see that because she writes the police department as people. They go home to spouses, they go home to, grandchildren and things like that. So, how that is involved in their relationships. So well done. Okay, If It Rains. I don't want to scare anybody away from this book because this is a good book. This is one of those books where it's a tough read because the people involved in their lives are tough. Okay, it's the Depression. There is not a growing thing for hundreds of miles from their little house. And they have to decide whether they're going to stay or whether they're going to go. And when they decide what they decide, you get to read it, it becomes part of their journey and what happens. And what happened to these families that were stuck in the middle of the Dust Bowl and lost everything. And what was it like to journey through that? So not only do you have that where you have a family farm that is very important to somebody, but you also have a family who is running the town and what they are like. So it was one of those I kept wanting, I go, okay, I can't read this. Okay, I got to read this book. I mean, I had to know what was going to happen. So it's her debut novel. And if this is a debut, boy, are we in for some good writing. So I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't carry a lot of love inspired in the store because they're easy to get, but I picked up this one because it's Toni Shiloh. If you have not read Toni Shiloh and you are a romance reader, you're missing it. She writes, and she, by her own confession, says, I write romance because I love romance. Boy meets girl, they have the relationship and argue and do whatever it is in relationships you do, and then they get married and live happily ever after. I will continue to write that. That's what she says. So I brought this one in. She's got one coming at the beginning of next year from Baker. And I wanted people to learn who she was long before that one comes out. She's a good writer. So it won't take you long to read it, but it is a fun little romance. Where are we? Oh, I missed one. Did I have that in, I did. I skipped one. That's what I get for piling. I did. I skipped two. Sorry about that. I piled and, anyways. Susan May Warren and Michelle Sass Elkson. I'm sorry, Michelle, I am mirroring your name. This is a Deep Haven novel. They self-pub as often as they traditionally pub. And so this is part of the, I'm going to forget that one again. But anyways, I'm not sure if I have a list in the book of the Deep Haven novels. I can get them for you. I looked them up. I don't carry them here all in the store because I'm not sure they're all still in print. But you can check our used books for them too. So Susan, for those that don't know, she writes the action adventure romances, and then she writes straight romance. And this is a little more of the straight romance with a family that you have gotten to know in the Deep Haven series. And then Escape from the Everglades is actually teen fiction. This is book number 2 of the High Water novels. And I looked this morning, and yes, I was out of book 1 again. Those pesky kids keep coming in and buying all the books. Oh, it says it's book 1. That must be the other series he's working on. So anyways, but this one is, he needs to find his friend, and that means facing the gators again, which is the #1 reason I do not live down south, because gators terrify me. And then there's snakes involved, and it just, I would never leave my house. So anyway, so good mystery to it. It is definitely a teen book. You can see that, you know, the teen relationships and such are what happens in this book. Now, it doesn't make bad writing. It's an interesting read. It's just a teen book. Just know that's who it's geared towards. So the issues and stuff that are in it are teen related, not something us adults might face. I won't do it again, but Tony's book's really good. Sorry, I won't move things. I don't know. I know, yeah. There you go. Now you all know what it was like that you were missing. See, look at. So the Scarlet Pen, it's part of the True Colors series that Barbara is doing. It is crimes around the United States. You can read them in any order. They're at all different time periods, you know, from the beginning of the country to, I don't know if they've done any present day, because I think they've stayed historical. And this one is set in Ohio, Mount Pleasant, Ohio. And it has to do with fake currency, hence the Scarlet Pen. And it has to do with all that fun stuff. I have not read all of the True Colors series. The ones I have read have been fun to read. So there, you know, there is romance in them, but there is a good mystery. And it's always interesting because it's based on something that really did happen. Now it is fictionalized, but it did happen. So you can go and look up these mysteries themselves and find out more about them. So which makes for a fun read. And then Susan's, this one actually has been out a little while. I had to wait to get it in because it is a self-pub, so I have to wait till it's available for me to get. And I only mention it because I know some of you have been doing her series, and this is book #4 of the Nighthawk Security. So I don't know how many of you have been doing her books, but they are romantic suspense. I have not read the Nighthawk series. I have read others of her series. So if you have romantic suspense readers, she's one you should be looking at, because she'd be a good filler in there for, because I know they read way too fast. So, and then Lauren K Denton, she has become one of my favorite summer reads. I actually read this long before summer, but if I didn't get them in advance, this would be a summer read for me every year. This one is very different, and I had fun reading it because the husband and wife have built a beautiful family. They have their 2.3 kids and their beautiful home and their wonderful jobs and all their family and friends and all this wonderful things are in the area. And then something that happened the year before, they're in the summer between their summer or senior year, walks in the door and shatters everything they believed about each other. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, okay? You get to read it. But I will tell you what I so enjoyed about this book, and it was just unbelievable, is I argued for both sides of them. I agreed with the wife sometimes, and I agreed with the husband sometimes. And that is a wonderful way to read a book. Okay, so these are what I call Southern fiction, and just this really good story that slowly unrolls in front of you like a hot day down in the South, because you're not going to move, you're not going to do a lot, but you just let things continue on. And that's what this does. And if nothing else, I love the covers. Make sure I'm on the right one here. Yep. The Ice Swan by Janelle, and I refuse to say her last name because I know I'm going to crucify it. So, but this one is set in Russia during the last days of the monarchy. There is a bit of secrecy to it. It's 1917, and so it talks about how they're running ahead of when, you know, the monarchy is falling, and they're trying to stay ahead of it, and where they go to hide. And are they going to be able to stay safe? Because they were hunting the you know, the king and queen and the czar, I should say. They weren't king and queen, and their families to kill them. So that's what this is. There is a heavy romance theme to it. Janelle writes that. She likes romance, but she takes something that happened in history and then writes a good fictional story around it. So. And then Love's Dwelling. This is another one of those where Kelly, you'll see her at different times where I'm holding up a romantic suspense, and then sometimes I'm holding up an Amish book, which really, to me, it's very far on the spectrum there, but she writes them all really well. She does her research and she knows her Amish communities, so she talks to them, but she also writes really good suspense. So, but it tells me she's just a good writer. So again, if you have Amish readers, Kelly is a good one. This is book number 1 of the Amish Blessings series. Yours is The Night by Amanda Dykes. Until I read this book, I didn't realize it, but it is the 100th anniversary, 150th. Shoot, no, I was gonna remember. Then I didn't have to look it up. The centennial anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown. Now, I have been to the Tomb of the Unknown a couple times. It still brings me to tears watching the changing of the guard and knowing why they do everything they do, and then why they take a certain number of steps and why they do, with the, when they change the guard and all that. So it's just a beautiful thing that they pay tribute to it. And this talks about some of the first people in the first war that we went through as a country that put somebody in that tomb and why we did it. So very different story for Amanda. It is not a split time, which she has written. Her other 2 were split times, so this was just single focus. I don't know what I expected when I started it, but I didn't lay it down. It was that good. I mean, and I hate to say it, I was reading it on lunch here when we were still all eating lunch in many different spots to stay apart from each other. And so it was like lunchtime would get over and then Chris would go, well, lunch hours was 45 minutes today. Oops. So, but it was very, very good. So I will say, I think guys, especially military guys will like this. It's not a big military blowout, but it's about being a soldier and how that affects you and how it affects the community or the country or the area, whatever you want to say, that the war is in. So very, very well written. The Barrister and the Letter of Marquis. Todd is joining us in September, actually here in the store, which I'm very excited about. So I have been reading it. I didn't want to get started before my vacation, but again, I can't save every book for vacation because I can't read 100 books, 10 maybe, but not 100. But anyway, so I'm about this far. I've started here on lunch. It's a Regency mystery. Okay, so that's different between a Regency romance. There's a little bit of romance in it, but the Letter of Marquis was something the King of England would give somebody and allow them to be what we would call a pirate. They could stop other ships, steal all their stuff, sink them, whatever they wanted to do in piracy, but they were doing it for the king, so it was okay. So a young lady invests in a ship, thinking it'll come back, and that Letter of Marquis goes missing. And so they need to find out why. It's the mystery. So, and there's a bit of lawyer things to it, which is always fun, finding out about court and years past, and even some of the things they do in court in Britain, which, no offense to anybody in Britain, but seems a little weird. So, but so I'm looking forward to finishing that one. Jen Torino, she's another one that's writing a historical romantic comedy. She writes romance. They are funny. If you meet Jen, and hopefully someday I can have her in the store so you guys can meet her. You'll hear her voice all the way through this because she has a wonderful sense of humor and she's just hilarious. I just love her. And so reading her books makes me hear her voice in my head, and I love that. So, but again, they're fun to read, but they're very historically accurate, which I always like too. So this one is the Bleecker Street Inquiry Agency. Say that 3 times fast because I can't even say it 1 time slow. Okay, I don't like alligators. I don't like snakes. And I'm not really fond of 100% humidity because it makes my hair really, really big, even when it's short. And I wanted to go live on the bayou after reading this book. Because Valerie does such a great job of making it a community that live in this little village and how much they loved each other and took care of each other. And I went, I want that. Well, not on the bayou because, I didn't grow up with it. So, but this is a brilliantly written book. If you have not read Valerie, please do. They're good Southern fiction. This one, there's something in there. There's a heart and soul in there that's just a little bit different. I started this book thinking, okay, I got a busy weekend, but I need something that I can lay down and pick up. And then I took it with me to a couple different things because I couldn't lay it down. Not because it's fast paced, but because I wanted to stay in that community and I wanted what was happening to be known. And I wanted to be part of the community. So nothing in here is gonna set your hair on fire. That's good. Oh, it's so good. This is why you read books right here, because you want to be part of that community. So they're all standalones. You can read them in any order. Some of them are contemporary, some of them are a little more historical. But yeah, if you aren't reading there, you should be. Liz is joining me in August. We will be talking about Beyond the Tides, her new series, the Prince Edward Island Shores. This is obviously book number 1. And I am learning all about being a lobster person. And it turns out I don't want to do that either. And so it is about the community on Prince Edward Island. It does talk a lot, but I don't want you to think it's boring. It's interesting. Because there were things that happened in lobstering that I had no idea that was how and why. Of course, we've all watched whatever that stupid series was about the guys that went lobstering, and that's a lot more drama than is actually in here. So there is a romance, but everybody knows that's what Liz is going to write because she likes to write that. So, and if nothing else, you got a really pretty cover on your shelves. But a lot of fun. There is laugh out loud moments. In fact, I just read a moment, and I'm not going to tell you because it does give a major plot line, but it made me laugh out loud. So I will tell you that. So she's got a grand sense of humor in here too. So I'm looking forward to finishing this one up. So. And Love and the Silver Linings, this is part of the State of Grace novels. And I keep saying that, it seems to be we're writing a lot of humor, which is good. We need a lot of humor. This is a romantic comedy also, and there are funny little parts. Book number 1 was Love and the Little White Lie, and her little white lie in that, and if you haven't read it, I'm really sorry, but she takes a job at a church pretending she's Christian. She slightly pokes fun of things that happen in the church, which are actually hilarious. So not in a bad way. She's not trying to be degrading, but there are things that happen as there are here. We do things because we've always done this. And then it's just silly. So I really like her books. I'm looking forward to it. This one and the last couple came in yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to read them yet, but I really enjoyed book number 1. So now there's 2 books I have that are not on your list or these guys' list, okay? One, I finished last night, and I'm bringing it in the store. There are no copies but the one I have in the store, but you can order it, okay? But you have to let me get it on the computer. So if you want it, you gotta give me a few minutes. The Last Bookshop in London. It's a World War II book based on actual happenings during World War II. It focuses and centers a lot on the Blitz, okay? And things that people did and what this little bookshop did. It is a book about loving reading and how it makes us a community and how important reading and books are to us when there are times of stress. The number of books sold in the fiction world, not just the Christian fiction, the fiction reading world went up during the pandemic, not down. Everybody, as this happened, was thinking this is going to kill books. It didn't. It made them more popular. And that's what happened here too. Now, they didn't have television in World War II, I get that. But people continued to read because we needed something to get away. And that's what this book is about. And there's a couple quotes in here. In fact, there's one I caught last night and I was able to memorize the page. Usually I don't, and I hate to dog ear, so I didn't. So I gotta find that one back. But it's the familiar scent of paper and ink drew her in as she fell head over heels into a new story. Isn't that what reading is all about? The author, yes, author. Ooh, Madeline Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N. So if they tell you, if you get up front before me and you want to order it, they're going to tell you, well, it's not available in the store. Just make sure I get your phone number. I'll get it for you. Don't worry. I just haven't gotten it in the computer. And then this dear little book by Susie. We know it was due in last week. There was an issue at the printer. It is delayed. Your copies are coming. I didn't put it on the list, but a couple of you asked this morning, so I thought I better talk about it. They will be here, I promise. In fact, it'll be on our list next month. So just be patient. It's not Susie's fault, okay? Don't be upset with Susie. But just know that if you special ordered a book, it'll be here in the next couple of days and we'll give you a call and you guys can come pick it up, okay? So I know Carol here asked for it and a couple of other ones that were asking. So, so bear with us, but if you didn't special order it, either come tonight and you can hear Susie talk about it, which will be jolly good fun. But otherwise, put it on your list of books you want to pick up because it is really, really good. It's about Operation Baby Lift from Vietnam and how it changed a family. So really good. So I'll talk about it a little more when we actually have some for you, because I don't want to oversell it and then you don't have the books. So, but that is the end of my list this week. Thank you again for joining us online. Please send me your feedback. I hope I have thick skin, so please be honest. Please be honest. I'm not kidding. We want it to be enjoyable for you guys too. And thank you guys for joining me today. It's so good to see your faces. Bye now.